Today we're going to be talking about hyperbaric oxygen therapy and how it can help you with your concussion, your TBI, or other brain incident, whether you've had a stroke or you're beginning dementia, or maybe you have been exposed to carbon monoxide poisoning. Hyperbaric oxygen can help. So we're going to talk about how it works. We're going to talk about what the benefits are and doctor recommendations. I'm going to tell a few stories about people who have benefited from hyperbaric oxygen therapy. For short, people call it HBOT. And then also I'm going to tell you where and how you can get hyperbaric oxygen therapy treatment. I fell on my face head first. I slipped on ice. I had a concussion, and but when I went to the doctor, they told me I didn't have a concussion, and because I didn't have any of the symptoms. But over the course of the next week and the next month, I developed a whole cascade of symptoms. And if you're curious about whether or not you have a concussion or what some of the symptoms might be, you can click the program down below and I will explain some of those. If you're not sure, I'm still recovering. I have post-concussion syndrome, but hyperbaric oxygen was the beginning of relief from my symptoms. So I went to a functional neurologist and he suggested that I go to a specialty clinic, which I did for a week. And that was when I first experienced hyperbaric oxygen. When I fell, I lost my ability to access my vocabulary words when my brain would get tired. After about 15 hours, I noticed that I could talk easier without stopping and having to look for the word, which was so frustrating. A friend of mine, she is in her 60s. She was hit in the head with a baseball when she was 12. And when she gets tired, she still to this day has a hard time accessing vocabulary words and talking, and she'll get a headache. She noticed after 1 hour that her reaction time was quicker when she was driving. Your response time will be different depending on how far you are out from your brain incident. A doctor explained to me that in an acute state where you just had the injury, there's a lot going on in your body naturally trying to heal itself. It's normal to be tired. And so after I went in the chamber, I would come out and go home and sleep for an hour or two. Some of the benefits of hyperbaric is that it increases ATP and mitochondria production, which gives you energy. So for my friend, her trauma was decades ago, so her body wasn't in acute trauma anymore, but she felt the energy right away. So some of the benefits are it helps build new blood vessels, new capillaries and blood vessels, which is why it's often used for people with who are diabetic and who have wounds because it heals. And when your brain is damaged or hurt, your cells in your brain can be damaged but still alive, and then when they reproduce, they're reproducing themselves in the same damaged state, so they're not working. But then once you go in a hyperbaric chamber, it can actually get blood to those places, and then those cells can actually begin to function again. So they've found a great success rate with people who are at the beginning stages of dementia. It is bringing back a lot of their functionality. And it's supposed to be really good for strokes too, for the same reason, because it gets oxygen to damaged blood vessels, and it actually creates stem cells in the central nervous system. It also helps with anti-aging, so a lot of people are interested in it because of that too. Even after you stopped going to the hyperbaric chamber, you would still have the benefit of now having blood vessels that are functioning and able to supply oxygen where they weren't before because of the damage. Hyperbaric isn't something that you have to do forever. I went to 3 different clinics and they all had soft-sided chambers. One of them was a specialty clinic just for brain injuries. The pressure in there is not any more pressure than going up in an airplane. So if your doctor says you can't go up in an airplane, then you probably wouldn't be able to go in there. Otherwise, the other reason you wouldn't want to go in there is if you have had damage to your inner ear and your ears can't pop. It's always good to check with your doctor to ask him what he recommends. Most people already have 95 to 100% oxygen level, like if you use an oximeter. But when you go in a hyperbaric chamber, what it does is normally anyone who checks an oximeter, they're checking how much oxygen is in your blood, in your red blood cells. They're the little carriers that carry the oxygen. But all around the blood cells is plasma. I kind of think of it as water. It's really thin, and there are places where there has been damage where the red blood cells can't get through. So maybe it's pinched closed and it's just too small. They can't get in, they can't get through. But the plasma, because it's liquidy like water, can. So when you go in a hyperbaric chamber, your plasma kind of acts like a water tower, and it just fills up with oxygen. And that's just from the oxygen being compressed. So that's whether or not you have an oxygen mask in your chamber or not. So I have used the hyperbaric chamber where they ask me if I want an oxygen mask, and I put that on for extra oxygen. But even if you don't use that, it's still beneficial, and because it will fill up your plasma just like it will without the oxygen mask. Oh, after 90 minutes, your plasma can't hold any more oxygen. But from the time you leave, the oxygen will begin to leave your body in the quickest way that it can, with the, wherever the least resistance is. So there are lots of things in your body that are hard to heal because it's hard to get oxygen to them, things like ligaments and tendons. But when the oxygen leaves, it takes the path of least resistance. So if that is over and around and through a tendon, then that is getting extra oxygen that it wouldn't get otherwise from the red blood cells. So that's how it increases the healing. I actually had my daughter, she's in ROTC. She came home and they had a really rough practice at the beginning of the year because, it's the first practice. I told her, you should go in the hyperbaric chamber. And she goes, okay. So she laid in there and fell asleep for an hour, and then, she came out. The next day I heard her talking to her friend on the phone. And her friend is also in ROTC. And she said, oh, I'm so sore. I can hardly walk. And my daughter said, I'm not sore at all. I went in the hyperbaric chamber last night. So it does detox you too. So when you go in a chamber, kind of like when you go for a massage, you want to drink a lot of water. Make sure you're hydrated when you go in, and then make sure afterwards that you drink a lot of water, because you want those toxins to be flushed out. I did have a friend that went in the hyperbaric chamber. She forgot to drink water. It was her first time going in there. And she said she really didn't feel good. She has a lot of medical problems. For her, it was probably even more crucial, but it's important for everyone. People that I have learned about hyperbaric oxygen treatment from is Dr. Daniel Amen. He's been on Dr. Phil and been on lots of TV, like documentaries and things like that. They say it's pretty standard that 40 hours is the baseline protocol. So if you've had a brain incident or injury, after 40 hours, you can assess whether or not you still have a lot of symptoms. And then, from there they would say, okay, let's try 40 more. So let's do 80. And then after that, okay, let's do 120. Dr. Amen works with professional football players and celebrities, and he has a lot of testimonials that you can go in and watch those too. Dr. Chopik, this book has been really helpful to me. It talks about what to do when you first have a brain injury, like what supplements you can take, how to eat, and what to do immediately after a brain injury or hit to the head. There's only one place in my community that has a chamber, and they charge $150 an hour, and then you can go for 90 minutes, and then they charge more for that. Can't remember what it was. Hospitals have them, but oftentimes if you go in a hospital, it could be $1,000, it can be $1,200. They often have a hard chamber, which has a higher pressure. It can be approved by insurance if you are diabetic and you might lose a limb. You can also rent them. And then you can also purchase them. I wasn't able to work, and so we didn't need that second car, so we sold my car and bought a hyperbaric chamber. And I have been able to share that with some people in my life. A couple of my friends have cancer, and they have been using it, and they have said that it helps them with their energy. And one of my friends, she said, I can't really explain it, but like the day after I go in there, it's like I can just feel my body, like it just feels like it's healing. So there are many benefits to hyperbaric oxygen, and I encourage you to find out more.